Back once again with Andy Semotiuk from Pace Law Firm. Andy, it's time for the speed round, where we take questions from people on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, the blog, throw them at you and see if you can make heads or tails. What do you say?
Okay, let's go.
Okay, number one, we have this is a Canadian living in New Brunswick. Says she's got a boyfriend. She says it's 5 years that we've known each other. We've communicated by MSN, phone, cell phone, letter, etc. So I would like to know if I can sponsor him in any way into Canada.
Well, the answer is the way they are right now, no, but marry the poor fellow and you can sponsor him in. You could also sponsor him in if you'd been living with him for a period of 1 year, uninterrupted period of 1 year, but it doesn't sound like from what they've sent in that they've lived together for that period. So the answer is marry the guy and you're in. Okay. Otherwise, he's got to find a job somehow to get in.
Okay. Number two, let's take a look. This was written in response to that U.S. green card thing that we had up on the blog, where the U.S. has changed the rules on green card applications, people getting kicked out.
Right.
Somebody asked, what's the deal in Canada?
Okay. This is really important. Canadians don't have to worry about this 10-year bar that is the subject matter of that change in rules, because when Canadians are allowed into the United States, they're usually allowed in for duration of stay. There's no specific period mentioned in their passport, in the visa or the stamp that's put in their passport. So most Canadians are not subject to the 10-year bar unless they've been ordered out of the country in some way or caught doing illegal work in the United States. So the development in the United States really doesn't apply to Canadians since they don't have the problem in the first place.
What was the change in the rule really quickly anyway?
The change in the rule was if you were illegally in the United States, that is to say you entered illegally, and you marry a U.S. citizen, you can't have the U.S. citizen sponsor you inside the country. You have to leave the country. But when you leave the country, you're subject to a 10-year bar for being unlawfully present in the United States, and you have to apply for a waiver. Normally, people had to go out of the country, apply for the waiver, and they were stuck there in limbo for years until they got it. Now you can apply for the waiver inside the country, and then once you have the preliminary ruling, you leave the country, and that puts you at the front of the line in terms of the processing.
Okay, there you go. That's pretty much a video unto itself.
Oh, yeah, that was a great answer.
All right. This person says, number three here, I've got one concern. By the end of February, I'm planning to go back home, and home is outside of Canada. I came on a student visa to Canada. Now I'm on a work permit. I've got a job offer letter which states that I can start a new position in May. So will I have an issue when I get to back to the border at Canada?
The answer is probably yes, and the reason is what's important is, do you have a visa to enter Canada? Now, it says that she had a student visa, and then she got a work permit, but in her passport for travel purposes, we don't know what her status is. Can she enter Canada? Possibly yes, if she's from the US or UK, one of these visa waiver type countries where you don't need a visa to enter Canada. In that case, she's okay. But if she's from a place like, let's say, Lebanon or whatever, where you need a visa to enter Canada, she would need a new visa obtained in her passport somewhere in some consulate in order to re-enter Canada. So it's hard to answer the question because I need to know where is she from. If she's from the US, then she shouldn't have a problem re-entering. Otherwise, she may.
Okay. Let's go on to number four. You've said that some consulates have a problem in terms of delays with applications for things. This person is from Pakistan and says, I applied 2 years ago. What's the wait?
Okay, that's a problem question. I don't know why you'd have to wait 2 years if you've been approved. Approval means that they put a visa plate into your passport, which you can then take with you to a port of entry in Canada, and they allow you into the country. It sounds like, from what this questioner has put down in the email, that he has some sort of a letter or something from the consulate saying you're okay, but there's some issue still obviously outstanding, because it doesn't sound like he's got the visa plate in the passport. Otherwise, he could just come into Canada.
Okay.
So I would say he needs to ask the consulate, what is the problem?
Okay. Number five, my husband lives in Morocco and I am here in Canada. Our process was from September 30th to December 30th. Just this last week, they asked for an update on our Canadian address. They want to know if that's a good sign that things are going to happen.
That's a terrific sign that indicates that they're at the very beginning of the process.
Really?
And
Okay.
what they're doing is they're approving the sponsor or getting the terms right for the sponsor so they can approve the sponsor, and then the file will go overseas for further processing. So I think you're probably a year or more away from final approval.
Okay. There you go. That's the speed round with Andy Semotiuk from Pace Law Firm. Andy will be back next week with more questions. Don't forget Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, the blog, any way to get a hold of us. Put your questions down. We'll throw them at Andy, and he will help you out. Get him at asemotiuk@pacelawfirm.com. Thanks, Andy. Bye, everybody.